my name is Shar, and this is And Other Stories podcast, where I read stories of the supernatural and criminal, both real and fictional. Works of fiction written by me. The President, Part 2. Just a little further into the camp, where they can't find us. Come on, you can do it, she says. Her voice is so homely and comforting. The edge of my hysteria starts to recede, and I stare into her dark brown eyes to ground myself as we continue the trudge. No one seems to know what to do. They keep walking, but looking around them, not daring to speak. The guards are now far behind us. We are now walking past a small mishmash of shelters, cobbled from corrugated iron, curtains of plastic, flattened cardboard boxes. A few old buildings are visible on the horizon, but they are crooked and broken, as if they fell long ago or were destroyed. Still, we keep walking. I see some small faces peering out from the makeshift sheds, but they disappear quickly as I lock eyes with them. Cries of despair come from near and then far, like ghosts mourning their lives. My feet feel worn to the bone. My adrenaline has disappeared and left me as an empty shell with no drive to continue. I could easily lie down here and sleep, but we keep walking. We are now in amongst all the old buildings. Clearly this used to be a town. Smashed churches, run-down shop fronts, windowless apartment buildings, all loom over us like enormous tombstones, devoid of life but screaming about their history. Night has fallen by the time we reach our destination. Random, untended fires are only source of light. We walk up 5 flights of stairs before my friend knocks a complicated rhythm on a metal door, and there is a rough exchange before we are let in. Candlelight illuminates a small grubby room with beds untidily covered with blankets. The room swims before me, and blackness starts to cloud my vision as my friend leads me to a bed, brings a sip of water to my lips, and then urges me to sleep, the last sounds of the word fading into oblivion. I awake to sun streaming through the window and a loud siren screeching through the streets outside, a voice on a megaphone shouting orders I can't understand. My mouth feels dry and I can barely move my limbs to sit upright. My friend is there as soon as she sees I am awake. "Come on," she says. "We have to go outside, or they will come in to get us out." "What is happening?" I say in fear. "It's for the sacrifice. We have to watch. If we don't, they will start to attack us." "The sacrifice?" I say confused. "But the sacrifice was just a few days ago." "He's changed them. They are now twice a week," she says. Her face is set in grim determination, disgust in her voice. We all pour out of the building onto the street. There were clearly many people staying in the one rundown building. More people appear from all shelters and ruins on either side of the street, guards poking them in the back, some being punched or kicked out. I look to my left and see an aircraft of some sort. It seems to make no noise, but hanging below it is an enormous television screen, the image of the President of the United States standing in the desert at the edge of the same old cliff, blazing from it. I look around me and see dozens of aircraft, all with the same screen, hovering over the ruined streets and buildings, broadcasting to those they keep captive. I watch as it is explained that the President has had a direct order from God himself that in order to remain the best nation on earth, to keep the virus at bay, to protect our American people, that we must sacrifice twice a week from now on. I expect silence. I expect the people to watch but not react as they are expected to, as the people do in the cities. But at first a few, then several, then hundreds of voices cry out in pain and fury, shouting no, cursing the president's name, swearing revenge. The protest reaches its crescendo as the beautiful, chubby, chocolate-skinned arm of the small child in the president's arms reaches for him, but is then hurled over the edge of the cliff. People around me fall to the ground sobbing, grief and rage erupting from their mouths in wordless cries. I turn to my friend. Tears fall silently from her eyes, which she keeps fixed on the screen. My stomach drops and I feel cold. Shame. I feel immense shame. I have done nothing but stay silent as this happened, numbed myself to the atrocities, just because everyone else did too. Because everyone else did. What a terrible, weak excuse. Come, she says, as the presidential seal appears, then the screen goes dark. The aircraft and guards are leaving as we make our way back up the stairs to the apartment. As we walk in the door, something is cooking over a fire in the corner. The smoke permeates the whole room, and I go to sit by the open window for the fresh air. My friend brings me water once more, and a piece of stale bread, which I eat ravenously. You must have questions, she says. I look at her confused and wondering what to say before I simply ask, "Who are you?" My name is Mabel. I'm part of a small band of resistance, if you could call it that, against the president and his administration. We don't really do much. We just want to help. I've been helping people who get sent here for many a year. I know if there's a ruckus in the city, soon them guards will be taking people in their vans, bringing them here. If I can just help one of those people. She trails off, looking out of the window. So, when I met you in that van, I knew you were the one to help. Where are you from? Scotland. A small town. You won't have heard of it. No one has. It's right on the edge of the Highlands. Scotland, huh? You're a long way from home. How'd you end up here? As I talk, a few of the others who are in the room watch and listen. One brings me a bowl of a thin soup that warms me. I hadn't even noticed I'd been shivering. Well, like I say, we're here to help. We can't do much, but we might be able to get you out of here. You being from Scotland works in your advantage. We've got boats. We head off from the coast about a mile from here and head east. Now, I'm not gonna lie, most of them don't make it. The guards here don't really care about us. They figure enough of us will just give up and die, so long as they keep piling us in. And they aren't wrong. Most who come here don't last a month. They make us watch the killings of them babies, hoping we'll just give up. Which it does for some. Not us, though. It makes us fight. We can't do much in here. If we tried to fight back, we'd all be dead within the hour. But they most often don't pay attention to the coast at all. Just keep bringing more in through the gates. That is, until one of them gets bored. Or, who knows, maybe there's an order from high up every so often. They will blow anything out of that water they see. And that's if any place out there will let the boat come in. But if you want it, you can give it a shot. I sit there just staring at her, so casually discussing an escape from this hell. My mind immediately starts to throw up warnings. What if it's not true? What if I get there and wherever I get to is worse than here? But what could ever be worse than here? And once more the image of the valley, with cloud shadows skipping across it, and a cold gale burning my cheeks, fills my head. Could it ever be possible for me to go home? I want to, I say, before I've even consciously decided. Mabel smiles the smile of one who saved one, but lost hundreds. Right, we've got to act quick. The boat comes in tomorrow, she says. Tomorrow, I exclaim, panic rising in my throat. We're very lucky this time. Some has to wait months. Arrived just in time. The rest of the day is a blur of organising. I am given 100 different orders, all of which I forget almost instantly. Only one seems to be important. Get to the boat. The yellow haze of day turns slowly to the smoky fog of night. My tired eyes watch the flames dance, my hands curled around the burning hot mug of some sort of leaf tea. Why is it that waiting for something is the most torturous act of all? Mabel sits beside me, sometimes talking in a low voice to the other members of the resistance. I've heard the names of Johnny, Xavier, and DJ, but I haven't spoken to any of them directly, except to thank you when I am past food or water. Everything becomes quiet well into the night. I can't sleep. The apprehension and the suddenness of the escape is all too overwhelming. All of my instincts tell me this is a mistake, but all my thoughts winding eventually to the same conclusion. I don't have a choice. It is time to do something. I turn to Mabel in the quiet. She is watching the flames too, with eyes that look as tired as if she has never slept. Maybe she never has. Not really. She has always been awake. Suddenly, something that has been burning inside me bursts out, a little too loud for the sleepy atmosphere around me. Why don't they help us? Mabel slowly tears her eyes away from the fire and looks at me with sad understanding. She knows who I am speaking about. We are the great nation, are we not? She begins, imitating the voices from the TV. She shrugs. We were so powerful for so long. Nobody wants to piss off the US government. And besides, people only care about what is going on in their own backyard. They are far too wrapped up in their own shit show, in their own narcissistic, petty problems in their own countries. Sure, you'll have people who care. Be people trying their hardest to bring out plight to the rest of the world. But people just do not give a damn. They don't want to get involved in someone else's fight. They see someone getting mugged on the streets, they'll just walk on by. So they don't get mugged themselves. What's in it for them? Well, when I get to Scotland, I'm going to do something, I say with conviction. She gives me a sad smile once more. They all say that, honey. I wake without ever knowingly falling asleep. The sickly grey light is showing through the tattered curtains, and I know it is time. My stomach contracts and my throat is drier than bone. Mabel is standing over me, her face set and serious. Will you stay with me? I croak, my fear forcing out the words. Until the boat, honey, she says. We walk through the mud streets of the rundown city. People are slumped in doorways, dead or sleeping. It's impossible to tell from here. No one is out on the streets. It is so early. Mabel walks beside me, her arm linked in mine. The pressure and warmth of her body is the most comforting thing I have felt in a very long time. A human soul next to me, an arm of friendship, and a stranger who is my closest friend in the entire world. Just as she had promised, the walk all the way to the coast is quiet and uneventful. We meet no guards or officials at all. They really do ignore us. I vaguely wonder how many they have killed with their strategy of neglect and mental torture. My numbed brain doesn't care to venture a guess. Now we wait, Mabel says, as we reach a small beach, its sand grey and grainy, the murky waves lapping quietly and low. We stand by an enormous boulder, which I assume is the agreed meeting point. There's no view out over the water. The thick smog covers the entire area once more. It probably never leaves. There is no sound now except the occasional kick of a stone by one of our party, or the distant cry of a seagull. The minutes tick by. The longer the silence and the wait, the more my panic starts to rise. I am just turning to Mabel, to look into her warm, dark eyes and seek the maternal type of comfort that I can only find in this stranger. Instead, my eye catches a dark movement at the top of the beach. I hear a loud crack, and the man closest to me, who I believe is called Kevin, falls to the ground, his eyes staring wide. Before I can understand what has happened, Mabel is pushing me behind the large boulder that we were standing beside. More cracks are heard as we all take cover. Guns are drawn from our companions, and they return the fire. "I thought they didn't care," I shout to Mabel over the noise. "They usually don't," she shouts back. "They must have got wind of this one. Look!" I turn to look where she is pointing. A small rowboat has appeared through the fog. 3 people jump out and start firing at the guards as well. "Who's going today?" shouts one of the 3. "This one," shouts Mabel, nudging me forwards. "Aren't you coming this time, Mabel?" the man from the boat says, looking confused. "No, now come on, you don't have time. We can keep 'em off you." "Mabel, come with me," I plead. "You need someone to push you out," she shouts. "These guys are busy. Now get in the boat." She shoves me forwards, making my frozen limbs move. I climb shakily into the boat, keeping my head down. Mabel keeps a hold of my hands as she pushes the boat out, the freezing water reaching up to her knees. "Send my love to bonnie Scotland," she says, her warm American twang twisted badly into an impression of the Scots. I smile weakly through the tears falling freely from my eyes. I keep my hand held out as she releases mine. I see her turn back towards the boulder, gunfire cracking faster and faster as our boat pushes through the water. I keep my eyes on Mabel. She is nearly back to her companions when a loud crack issues from the left. I see her clutch her chest before her body collapses to the gritty sand, and the fog swallows up the whole scene. I now stand at the bow of the yacht that must have once been a proud vessel. The wind blasts my hair, my skin is chilled, and my breath is whisked away. I keep my eyes closed. The vision of the glen, the skidding clouds, the waving barley consumes my thoughts. Thank you for listening. I hope you liked it. I am Shar, and this is the And Other Stories podcast. See you next time.